Hi, my name's Casey, and I'm a grateful believer in Christ, and I've still struggled in the past with alcohol and anger. I came to the journey of recovery kind of by accident. My ex-wife and I were having trouble, and I felt like anger was a part of it, so I had been talking to a friend, and that friend always came into work happy, and I always wondered why. So I started talking to her, and she started talking about a group that she went to. Well, I went and started going, and the minute I walked in, I felt at home. And that was one of the beauties of going into Celebrate Recovery. It's Christ-centered. It's what I needed to try and work on my anger. And the more I sat in the room and the more people talked about alcohol and their problems with alcohol, the more I realized that I had a problem with alcohol. The problems in my life have not been huge ones. I've never been arrested. I've never had legal trouble. I've never had anybody ask me, do you think you're drinking too much? I've never had a boss counsel me because they thought that I was drunk at work. Those are things that have never happened to me. What has happened is there have been times in my life that I wasn't present in the moment when I needed to be. And there were times in my life when I turned to alcohol instead of facing problems, instead of facing the things that were causing me pain. I am from West Central Indiana. I grew up in a farming community and have had glasses since I was in the 6th grade, and that has made me feel like I was an outcast, even in my own home. I had very loving parents. My mother saw everything that I ever did in high school, was always there for me. My dad was there as much as he could, working overtime. And even though they loved me and I knew that I was loved, I didn't feel it in my soul. And that was the reason that I started drinking, was to fit in, was to be the life of the party, was to have people look at me and not feel weird inside. Because that's what alcohol did for me. It took away those feelings. There have been times in my life when I turned to alcohol. Now, once getting sober, I lost my father 2 years into my sobriety. I lost a good friend a year after that. Another good friend passed away a year after that. And because of being sober and being in a program and knowing what to do, I was able to find what I needed in those meeting rooms. I was able to really lean on other people. The night my dad passed away, I went to a meeting. That next Friday was a Celebrate Recovery meeting. I went to it, and everybody laid hand on me and prayed for me. And it was one of the most amazing feelings I've ever felt in my life. And it was all because of finding a meeting that could put Christ at the center of my life and give me tools and ways to get out of what I was in and to deal with the things that caused me pain. Now, fast forward a few years, my ex and I are living in California, and she decides that she wants to move to St. Louis. At first, I dug my heels in, and I was like, you're not going, you can't go unless I say you can go, because you can't take our daughter. And I dug my heels in for a long time. Talking to my sponsor one night, my sponsor said to me, what's the worst thing that can happen? You've moved across the country before. You've found a new meeting before. You've found new friends before. So what's the worst thing that can happen if you move to St. Louis? And so I did. And it was the best idea for me ever. I found a meeting as soon as I got here, and walking into that meeting felt exactly like walking into the meeting in California. I felt loved and cared for. I did my testimony a few months after that, and then was asked to do my testimony for another group. And so I went and I did that. In doing that, I met my wife, because she was the one running sound and she was the person that I could see over everybody else. So I really felt like I was talking to her. And she and I started talking and realized that we had a lot in common. And without making that move, and without listening to my sponsor, and without following God and His will for me, I would not have the things I have today. I wouldn't have a beautiful wife who loves me dearly. I wouldn't have a great relationship with my 21-year-old daughter. I wouldn't have my 5-year-old daughter who loves me to death, who is open and honest and not closed off. Now, don't get it wrong. I still have problems with anger today. I still have to consciously make a decision to not be angry in the moment when I want to be angry. And I'm not great at it. I still slip up. But I ask for forgiveness, and I try and do work to try and make it to where that doesn't happen again. Now, for me, alcohol, I haven't had any alcohol or drugs for almost 20 years. March 28th will be 20 years. And the reason that's easier for me today is because of those first days. Going in and listening to others and sharing myself and doing step studies and putting Christ at the center of it all and leaning on Him and trusting that His path would be shown to me. And that's how I am able to put where I am in the forefront of what I'm doing. That's the way I'm able to take the teachings I've learned from other people and from the Celebrate Recovery program, and feel like I am the spiritual center of my family. That I really feel like I'm where God intended me to be and doing what God intended me to do. Because I'm following His path and His will and not mine. Because mine got me in trouble. So that's why I believe that Christ is the most important thing for anybody. That a good recovery program can take anything. I've had horrible losses and been completely sober and known that I can lean on others and lean on God and not go back to where I was before.